Hey, welcome into the Angels Halos in the Infield recap. If you missed the post-game show, you missed an awful lot. We'll have some of the highlights on various, Instagram and your TikTok and stuff like that. But if you want to catch the replay, it's over on our live side. But for now, this is the Monday morning recap of what happened last night and including through Friday and Sunday, as the Angels have lost now 4 out of 5 series after starting so hot at 9-5. They have now gone 3-10 in their last 13. And we'll start off with a recap with the loss on Friday night, where it was close for a little bit until the fourth inning when the Twins opened up a can of whoop ass on Hendricks, who could not find the strike zone, was getting pinched by the umpires. And the Angels did get some hits, probably their best hitting performance of the week. They had 10 hits, but they could not drive them in when it counted, and you had key strikeouts of 10 players in this series. Now, we had 10 strikeouts on Friday. I'll get a little ahead of myself. And Saturday, you had 13, and Sunday, you had 13, which gave you a grand total of, if I do my math right, carry the 36 strikeouts in 3 games. The Angels have struck out like about 167 times in their last 14 games and have only walked a measly 17 times, meaning they are swinging for the fences constantly. They are not watching video or tape, and they are literally not going the other way like their opponents who have beaten them, even the Pirates, took whatever the pitching gave them. Now, the pitching's been outstanding for the Angels, except for this game. I understand they got lit up a bit. The bullpen was taxed a bit. But the Angels overall, in this series and also the Pirates series, pitched well enough to win both series. It's just they got no production whatsoever. And it really hurts to see that the Angels don't put guys on, don't create traffic, don't create problems. They continue to do the same old swings. And you could tell, pitches on the outside corner to a right-handed hitter. They're trying to uppercut swing. They swing over it, hit a weak ground ball. Instead of going the other way and taking what the pitcher gives them, stuff on the outside corner, down and in, instead of trying to go fish for it or just trying to not uppercut it, but try to put a bat or a barrel of the bat on the ball, they don't do it. There was only 2 at-bats in this 3-game series where I thought, man, it was pretty good. Neto's putting the barrel of the bat on his home run, and then also d'Arnaud on Sunday, who just went with what the pitcher gave him, put the barrel on the bat, and got a double. Other than that, they got an F plus. And heads have got a roll, in my opinion, and I've said it on the post game, where I don't advocate for people getting fired. But in this case, I'm tired of the hitting instructor. I'm tired of the analytics. I want to go back to old school baseball. And if we cannot return to the old school baseball without analytics, at least give analytic information that works for these players and not have them be sitting on pitches. Again, you have to protect the plate. And a lot of these guys are striking out standing there like statues. We got rid of Statue Stassi, and that was his name because he stood there no matter what on pitches right down the middle. These guys have figured it out through the second or third time around the bats that, hey, the umpires are giving the corners or they're calling the low pitches in the strike zone. Time to swing, time to protect that plate. Instead, we continue the same approach bat after bat. We don't switch up during the games. We see the opponents do it, and that's why they're coming out with the W's, and we're getting a fat loss as the Angels fall 3 games under 500. So getting back to that Friday night, they got their asses kicked, 10 strikeouts right there. The Twins only got 6 strikeouts. They worked 8 walks. That was the main problem right there. Hendricks got lit up with 5 walks, but the bullpen, didn't do all that good either. They wound up getting rid of Edwards Jr. and Medeiros down to AAA. They DFA'd Edwards as he made his second Angels debut, and he really pitched crappy in this one. So this was like a throwaway game, as the Twins just rolled them over right there. Trout did hit a home run, but who cares, man? They're hitting solo blast. That's not going to generate offense. And the Angels would take a loss there to open up the Friday festivities in Minnesota to a team who didn't have double-digit wins yet. That was their 10th win of the season amongst 16 losses before the Angels gave them a freebie right there. So then the next game was on Saturday, and the Angels would take a loss again to fall to 12-14, while the Twins improved to 11-6. The Angels would lose this game 5-1, mustering up that measly home run by Zach Neto. They went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position, meaning they didn't have too many opportunities. Only 4 men left on base. They worked no walks. Once again, generated no walks. And that's a team that, again, is overswinging, overthinking. And when they're not striking out, when they're not working walks, they're popping the ball up because they have that uppercut swing that Gubicza can't stop spritzing himself over. And it's very apparent that the Angels have some sort of script that they have to follow, whether it's announcing and promoting the fact that we hit so many home runs. But if you look at the stats, if you follow the post-game show, and I have told you several times about the stats of the top 10 teams who all have over 100 runs batted in, where the Angels still don't have 100 runs batted in, despite having the fourth or third best home runs in the league, which means it's all or nothing. They're not really putting doubles together, singles together. All these guys are swinging for the fences when there should be only about maybe 3 or 4 guys doing that. Then you couple that the fact whether you have Mike Trout at leadoff or you're putting Soler at leadoff, guys who, Soler was hitting pretty decent until they put him in the leadoff spot. Now he's only had 1 hit in that leadoff spot. And then Trout went in there today on Sunday as I get ahead of myself again. Why would you put him there with a 177 average? One of your worst hitters right now, all or nothing, and he's mostly nothing. So why would you put him there? The conventional wisdom would tell you slide those guys down till they find their rhythm. Put other guys towards the top to try to get them going. If you really want to mess with the lineup, that's how you do it. You don't give guys who are scuffling more at bats like the analytics say. That's pretty stupid. But once again, that's where we're failing our players. Kikuchi in this game on Saturday got off to a rocky start. He put guys on, and it was just trouble after trouble, and he didn't even make it out of the 3rd inning. It was already 4-0 Minnesota. After Neto hit the home run, he left with the bases loaded, and it was all kinds of trouble. But Johnson, Detmers, and the new guy Fermin, along with McDaniels, operated 6 innings. Actually, 6 innings of shutout ball to keep the Angels in it, or at least 1-run ball, I should say. And the Angels had many opportunities to get back in this game, but never took advantage of it because 7 of their 9 players who were starters went over, and the team struck out 13 times. It was embarrassing. And the Twins would once again get a victory. Kikuchi would fall to 0-4, another tough luck loss for him. Even though he didn't pitch his greatest, it's not like he put you in a really, really bad situation. They were able to pitch out of it, and he's done that before, giving you 5 or 6 innings. This was by far his worst start, though. And the Angels would take a second straight loss in Minnesota as Minnesota would advance to 11-16. Fast forward till today's game. So after losing 5-0, the Angels said, we have to get some offense going. We have to generate some runs to get us competitive in these games with the lowly Minnesota Twins. Well, the Minnesota Twins would prevail and improve to 12-16, while the Angels would fall to 12-15 because the Angels decided not to score. So they said, I'll see your one and lower it 1 more, as they mustered only 4 powerful hits, as Soriano actually pitched his ass off, had 1 bad inning that was helped out by an error by Kyron Paris and a misplay by Renifo to put 2 men on, and then he promptly gave up a double, and they took him out when it was 2-0. It really wasn't his fault. I felt really bad for Soriano as he falls to 2-4 on the season. He only pitched 5 innings. They yanked him rather early, didn't allow him to get out of his jam. But it didn't matter. Because it was over on the 1st inning because the Angels didn't do nothing. 9 more innings of futility, led by Captain Trout, 0-for-4. You had 3 strikeouts by J.D. Davis and 3 at-bats. Overall, terrible performance. The only guy that had a good game was Louis Renifo, taking what the defense gave him again. Why he has not been inserted into the leadoff spot, I don't know. It is the dumbest thing, and it's a must that Travis d'Arnaud, whenever he starts, has to hit 5th. For whatever reason, there's still no explanation for it, but we have to put d'Arnaud right there, and there's just a bunch of useless at-bats again. It's like I said earlier, a bunch of swinging for the fences, a bunch of just not paying attention up there, not protecting the plate. It's not like all these teams have aces, but we're making everybody, doesn't matter if your name is Andrew Heaney or the starter today, just making them all look great. And if you look at across, the Pirates players were improving their batting averages because they were going the other way and getting singles. They were taking what the pitchers were giving them. The Angels pitchers hasn't been that bad, other than, a little bit of Kikuchi and Saturday of this series and Friday of Hendricks. But outside of that, they've been helping the other teams just get singles. They really haven't been pounded too much with home runs in the last, 13 games. And Ryan just breezed through this freaking lineup with 11 strikeouts like it was nothing. And the bullpen, once again, didn't do a bad job behind Soriano, only giving up 1 run. If you're asking your bullpen to give you 3 or 4 innings and they only allow a run, it's not the bullpen's problem. It is, once again, you can't even point at the starters. You can look over at that lineup that is doing jack shit. They are batting .215 currently in the league and are at the bottom almost of total batting average. I mean, almost all the stats, with the exception of home runs, they are at either 20 or below. And a lot of those stats, they are dead last. They're pretty close to most strikeouts, except Boston's been swinging at everything. So they're the only team that strikes out more than the Angels. But Jesus, man, this team is just all over the place. Terrible hitting, terrible approaches. I know they have a lot more talent than both the teams they just lost to of the series, but they are not playing like it. And I will say this, for all the people that say it's not the coaching, the players have to go out there and do it, that plays a small role. Basically, like I brought the analogy up in the post-game show today, it feels like, the Angels are like the Green Berets, and they have that leader that they have to follow, that sergeant or lieutenant. I don't know the rankings in the Green Berets, but whoever's the leader of that unit of Green Berets, special task force, they could be the best, of the best, like they're the greatest thing that or Navy SEALs, the greatest Navy SEALs out there, right? But if they have a guy who doesn't know what he's doing or has the wrong approach or the wrong determination on how to attack the enemy, and he launches those Navy SEALs into battle in the best way he thinks it's going to go or he thinks is to attack, well, guess what? If he makes a false move, those Navy SEALs get gunned down. They're put in a bad spot and they get compromised, right? Well, I think it's the same thing here. It's the leaders right now are terrible, and they're not leading this group of professionals the right way. And the way that they're leading them is to a last place finish. And something's got to give before this season gets away. There's a lot of fans on here that are angry, and I'm one of them. So this is by the fans, for the fans, by the fans, or for the fans, by the fans. It's whatever. It's the Heating Network. We're angry, and damn it, we're not going to take it anymore. Well, we could just boo and talk crap online, but that is the way we need to voice our frustration, because at some point it gets back, something goes viral, and dumbass Artie will see it at some point. But this was my recap of the 3-game series. We have no podcast going this Monday. We will get back on track next week, and then we'll look forward to our show on Tuesday, but getting you ready for that Seattle series, 2-game series up in Seattle. But this is a low point in this season. 2025, we thought that there's more talent on this team, and just the talent I feel is there. Obviously, we don't have the ace, but the pitchers are pitching to the best of their abilities. And again, we've lost some games where, we're getting pounded 11-4, or we've lost that opener in Chicago, or we lost that one in St. Louis. And I get it. Those games get out of hand. It is what it is. But most of the games that we've lost so far were very winnable had we just gotten any kind of offense. And I think that's to blame right now. And for it to be happening this early, and for us to clinch yet again another bad April and not a winning April, is truly frustrating as an Angels fan. So I'm hoping things change. Although I'm not holding my breath, I'm just hoping out, because we're now entering year 11 of futility. This has been Halos in the Infield Weekend Recap with your host, Todd Fox. Enjoy the rest of your day. Like and subscribe, won't you?